Thank you for being here. My name is Philippe Gaulier, and I'm currently art director for Framestore in Los Angeles. And what I'd like to talk to you about today, I mean, as hinted on the little visual here, is my experience working on the Matrix Resurrections during the pre-production phase in San Francisco, and it was quite a few years ago now. It was before COVID, so it seems like a lifetime ago. And I'd like to try and I'm going to try and convey how different it was from a lot of the projects I've worked on before. Not only because of the project itself and the nature of the project in terms of the visual we've done and everything, but everything that came with it. Let's say that it's a project for me that ticked all the boxes. The people that I've worked with on this project were great. The visuals we developed were very fun to do, and also the person in charge, and namely Lana Wachowski, on this was like a positive force. She had a huge respect for what we did. She was really nurturing us in many ways, and because of that, as it trickles down, like in a company or in any structure, this sort of like positive vibes and positive attitude that she had, and very highly creative attitude, really kind of like rubbed on everyone, and we all had a great time. There's actually a Reed over there, like who was also there we were part of the same team over there, and we all agreed that it was one of the most fun we've had in many years, and we've all worked for on many other projects, but it was a bit special. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, because you might not be aware of the work I do or where I come from. So I've been in the industry for nearly 25 years. I've started in video games in Paris, and then I moved on to film. So I graduated in '99, so it was a little while ago. In Paris, in an art school where I've graduated in graphic design and art direction. And following that, I've worked in a video game company called In Utero in Paris for about 3 years. Great place, really creative place. With it was a time when everyone was smoking. So if you picture the place, it was like a cloud of smoke. Everyone was smoking indoors. Everyone would blast their music. So very different time, very more relaxed and kind of like pretty unique, and you wouldn't find companies like this anymore. I mean, the times have changed. Not that I enjoyed breathing smoke every day, but it tells you a little bit about the kind of like a free-spirited aspect of the company. Every Friday we would go to the local a supermarket to get some alcohol, and we would do a little party, and it was that all the time. We would blast the music, so we would almost compete between different offices we'd play the music's a bit too loud, so let's pump up the volume, and then the boss, every time a client would come and visit, would come and see us at our respective desks, and would say, guys, can you just clean up and tidy up? We've got a client coming in, and say, yeah, okay. So we're like a bunch of kids, really, with the head teacher telling us to behave, and at the time I really didn't care really about working in films or working on high-end projects or whatnot. So I just enjoyed the ride. It's like every day was fun. We worked late. We didn't get paid overtime. Also because it's Europe, and people don't get paid overtime. It's what it is. But we didn't care because we enjoyed it. So we got probably exploited along the way, but it was fun. And also I'll try and make this introduction fast, and we will move on to this. But then I got the opportunity, but it's kind of connected, because while I was working at In Utero, I had the opportunity to go to Shanghai to work for Ubisoft over there. We got hired from In Utero, which was the name of the video game company, to go and work there to do some art direction for a project. And we stayed there for 6 months in Shanghai, and it was an amazing experience. First, the culture is completely different. So the cultural shock was the first thing that was very exciting, and also the fact that though I traveled before a lot, I'm lucky enough that I had many opportunities to travel before that point in my life, all around Europe, South America, Central America. But this was different because obviously I wasn't going there as a tourist. I was going there to work. So basically to to do things that everybody else would do in the city, and you have to understand the rhythm of the city when you do that. You know, you don't go and try and find the best restaurants or the best museum or the best walk to do around the city. So you're there, you're working, so you become one of the people living there, and you truly understand the culture way more than when you go on holidays, even for a month somewhere, because you have only a superficial understanding of it. And so this is probably where my brain started to switch to this. Actually, there's possibilities to work abroad. You know, like because until then I was in France. I only worked in France, and not that I was against traveling, as I said, but the idea of working abroad was a bit alien to me, and this kind of like opened my mind a bit, and I almost stayed. The boss over there gave me like actually a choice, and she told me, yeah, if you want, you could stay here as an art director, and because I'd been there only for like 6 months, and I didn't have that much experience back then. I mean, I could draw, I could paint and stuff, but I didn't feel that I was ready, so I said no. It was a hard decision because I really enjoyed it over there. This was one Monday, no. Tuesday, maybe, and Wednesday, definitely not, and Thursday, actually, I might take her up on the offer, and eventually I said no. Went back to Paris. The company collapsed at that point. It was a time when a lot of video game companies in Paris were closing down, and so I had to find new things. So I started freelancing a bit more, and after that, due to personal reasons, my girlfriend at the time was in between London and Paris. I got the opportunity to move to London, and I just I kind of like went along with it. It wasn't my plan to go to London. It wasn't like I never thought or dreamed of going to London. I never actually set foot in London before that. I just went through London when I traveled to Scotland many years before, when I was 18. But London wasn't exactly a dream place for me, or a place where I particularly wanted to go. I was more about like the Amazonian forest, or I don't know, Tokyo or whatever, like London. So off I go to London. And we were talking earlier over there about like the sort of places that grow on you. London is a place, to me, it's a place that grew on me. I didn't fall in love with London in the same way that I didn't fall in love with LA. But both cities grew on me. You get to know more about it, you get to appreciate it. And I ended up staying there for 15 years. I've worked for many different clients. The beginning was big. I'm not going to go into detail. The beginning was tough. No money, nothing, no opportunities, because I didn't know anyone. I just moved there. I didn't have any job offer, nothing. So it was a bit of a struggle at first. But then one thing leading to another, and you know, and when you work hard, I mean, it comes back to you in a way. You know, like you get if you are, it's all about being ready when the opportunity happens. And I was working like a lot. I started even working in VFX because it was my way in, because I knew about texturing. So it was okay. So I can find anything in concept art or in illustration. I sent like CVs everywhere. At the time, it was like little CDs it was a flash format and sketchbooks. This was my showreel. It was like sketchbooks and a CD with a flash format, like kind of like a little animation with lots of pictures, basically, like some sort of a slider kind of thing. And no one replied to me, and eventually a company did. It was a Jim Henson's Creature Feature Shop. Incredible place, like a dream place. Probably, even though I did a short gig over there, one of the best places I've ever worked at. And this is when everything kind of like started to get better. I ended up working on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the pre-production, and then after that I joined a few VFX companies, like smaller ones, like. And the bigger one, like DNEG, MPC, DNEG, Method Studios, and from Method, when Method London's closed down, they asked a handful of us if we wanted to continue the adventure in LA, because the headquarters, the mothership was here in LA, and again, it was one of those. I never dreamed of going to LA. I never dreamed of the Hollywood sign or anything. It was never like on my radar, really. And then it's, why not? It was another like a why not kind of situation, you know, like welcoming an opportunity and see what happens, you know, like there's a bit of light over there. Let's see what's going on. You know, it's not intentional or anything. And here I am, and I've been here since 2019. And my family is here. I've got my wife, my little kid, and a dog. So we're just missing a fence. That's it. And picture perfect. And yeah, and so it's been kind of like a strange kind of ride. But what I've learned along the way is that to learn to keep this sort of like ability to be curious and to be surprised by things, and this whole experience was partly that, because it was in San Francisco, and even though you're going to tell me San Francisco, LA are not that different, but yes, they are when you work there. They are when you experience it on a daily basis, not when you go there for the weekend. It's fairly similar in a way. I'd just like to rewind a little bit back to 1999, when the Matrix came out, and it's also the year that I happened to graduate. Not that there's any connection whatsoever between those two events. You know, I'm not going to tell you that the universe was telling me something. It's just a pure coincidence, but it is what it is. So Matrix was coming out, and at that point I was like coming out of art school, and I had no idea that I was going to work on films or anything. And this film came out, and it was a blast. I don't know when you've seen The Matrix. I'm not sure how old everyone is here, but if you've seen it when it came out at the cinema, it was incredible. You know, is it the one? Is not? Is he? And then at the end he flies away. It's like, wow. And we came out of the cinema. It was incredible, an incredible experience. And also it became like almost like it took on like everyone, like in the sun, people start dressing up like them. You know, you see people with the Morpheus glasses, with the long coats, and we all thought we were pretty cool doing that. You know, with the long coats, when it looks pretty lame now that when you think back. But everyone, you know, wearing glasses like indoors and all that. But this is how influential this film was, and even the story itself was like nothing else before. Can you hear me, by the way? Because I tend to move the microphone, so I apologize. Is it good? Yeah. And so yeah, it was an incredible thing. And at the time, obviously, I didn't know that I was going to work with the Wachowskis later down the line. So, and also just on a side note as well, it was a time when talking about like career, having fun and everything. And just a little like anecdote. At the time, I had a friend of mine who was in the medical field, and she was very career oriented. She was really passionate about what she did, and she really wanted to be successful. This was back in Paris, and she was like aiming for the stars and everything. And she was getting almost pissed off at me because I didn't really care. I just wanted to have fun, to do my little drawings and stuff. And so I was in a different frame of mind. But I'm glad that I haven't lost the spark. Because I know people who are probably a bit more jaded and everything, and it's easy to get jaded in this business because, you know, you don't work only with lovely people who care about what you do or respect what you do. So, but I'm glad thinking back, you know, at that time when I was in my early 20s when I had this conversation, and she was really like kind of like almost getting pissed off at me because she was like, you should care about this, you should chase like a title, responsibilities and everything. And I was like, yeah, well, whatever, you know, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying it. As long as I can draw and have fun, I'm happy. And so yeah, so this is what it's about as well, you know, like the spark, you know, the joy of working on something you really enjoy. So now I'm going to show you like some of my old work. So quickly, and I'm not going to elaborate on this. It was my graduation project back in art school. I was like again early 20s, fascinated by all things dark and gloomy, and Joel Peter Whitkin, for those who know, you know, the photographer and all that. And I loved Dave McKean at the time as well. So this sort of aesthetic, and this was a thesis about a serial killer, Emil Edmund Kemper. You're probably familiar with him if you're not into serial killers, which is fine, you know. But he was in Mindhunter. It was like, you know, this big guy that you see with a mustache in Mindhunter, like that came out like a little while ago. It's him. So and actually his impersonation in the TV series is amazing. I mean, from all the stuff that I read about him. So yeah, so I thought that it would be a good idea to make like a couple of books, illustrated books about that guy, which is, if you think about it, kind of weird because. His only claim to fame is that he decapitated people and killed a bunch of people. But, you know, I was in my early 20s, so this is what it is, you know. And it's my dad over there posing with my sister. They were on the, you know, in the bathtub over there. It's when a Kemper like slices someone. It was fun times, really. And my family was very understanding. Video game years. So the top bits were some stuff I was doing back in the video game company I told you about. I got tons of stuff, but I'm not going to bore you with all that. You know, it's not the point today. and at the bottom, like some illustration work I was doing at the time as well. And then some more film work in no particular order. This was for Assassin's Creed. We have like Ant-Man and the latest one, Quantumania. Actually, Ant-Man was an incredible project. One of those, defense, not quite as enjoyable as Matrix Resurrections, but very fun because the production designer on Ant-Man happened to be someone that we worked with Reed. Reed sitting there, still there. We happened to work with him on Jupiter Ascending. At the time, he was kind of like moving from advertising, where he was already art directing and production designing, and he wanted to get into films and become a production designer in films. So he was a concept artist with us at the time. So we worked together on Jupiter Ascending, and then many years later, he called me up and said, "Hey, Philippe, I'm designing Quantumania. Do you want to join?" I said, "Oh yeah, great." And I did it remotely because I've been working from home for like forever now. And but it was a fantastic experience. It's a great designer, super talented guy. More like stuff. I do occasionally creature work. So this is like markers and pencil and some that sort of things. Like this was for Pitchwork, for Frankenstein project, and another project like an indie British film over there. This was again for Quantumania. The pictures, I mean, not that it matters, I'm not being a bit picky, but it's more contrasted than that. The black levels here are a bit very lifted, but doesn't matter. But, just so you know, imagine that it's much more contrasty and darker. Yeah, you're all visual people, I assume, so I'm sure you'll be able to. Cloud Atlas, which was pretty much the first like kind of encounter, so to say, with the Wachowskis. And as they were transitioning from Cloud Atlas to Jupiter Ascending, this is where we met through the VFX supervisor back at Method Studios. We went to visit them in Berlin at Babelsberg Studio, if I'm not mistaken, and we had our first like encounter when they described what they wanted to do for Jupiter Ascending. They were thinking Dune, that sort of scale, like this sort of baroque in space, this sort of like a very rich visuals. And this was for a pitch. Occasionally, I would do pitch with. I would get contacted by a director or production studio to do some pitch, like a pitch work, like to get like the big budget to be released. Again, another Ant-Man, Quantumania. It was Fury Road. It was a very quick gig. George Miller was struggling with his team to define the look of the toxic storm for the film. And he came to us at Method Studios, and we spent literally a few days coming up with my fellow concept artist over there to try and come up with lots of visuals to try and define this toxic storm. And he loved it, and it pretty much looks like it's a bit more red in the film, way more saturated. But essentially, we nailed it, and it was great actually, because when the film came out, it was wow. Sometimes you work like for a few days or a few weeks on a film. It happens to be it becomes a classic, or it becomes like an incredible film. Sometimes you're going to spend like a year on another one, which ends up being like a very disappointing film. So it's like it's you never know, like this was again another pitch work. Some more Ant-Man came out recently, so I'm putting a lot of Ant-Man in there. Another Ant-Man image. Yeah, they're walking through the jungles of the quantum realm. It's a dangerous place. This was meant to be like one of the most dangerous places in there. More Ant-Man. This actually drawing was about this big. It was on one of these big like 2 pages of sketchbooks, attached with a bit of tape in the middle. Because the designer, being an artist himself and being a great craftsman, his drawings are amazing, and he's got an incredible sense of design. He really encouraged me to do this because he knew that I could draw, and that is something that I did. And he said, "Yeah, why don't you start with lots of drawing and sketches, and then once we could choose a few of them to bring to a more detailed kind of level, like the pictures you've seen before." And it was one of them, really. So loads and loads of sketches. I've done tons of them, and it was great because this is the sort of things that I would do for myself. So for me it was like even more fun than the project could have been, because I could do that at the weekend just for me, without having any client telling me to do it. Some little creature work. Recently, as you all know, the strike left a lot of us like either unemployed or very like in the wait of a project to come up or something to happen. And with the art department, that's the headquarters of the art department at Framestore is based in London, and we would on a regular basis like come up with a theme and create some images, you know, to and this one was cute creatures. So I tend to do more dark stuff and very gloomy things and stuff. So it was nice to do some this one has a bit of an edge to him. You see, you can tell. Look at the face. Yeah, this one is mischievous. Yeah, and but not him over there. He's very sweet. And this one wants to learn to fly, and he won't be able to. And yeah, and other things that I do for myself, like little sketches and things. This is I'm a frustrated comic book artist essentially. And this was for Hellboy 2. It was like he came to MPC, Guillermo del Toro, and he wanted for MPC to do all the VFX for the film, and at the time, for logistic reasons or timing or whatnot, MPC could only do a part of it. So he decided to go to DNEG eventually. But before that happened, with my old friend Olivier Pron, super talented artist who designed Xandar and all sorts of things like that. Look him up. We spent literally like the next few days preparing like some sort of little dossier, a little book for Guillermo. And Olivier did more like digital things because it's his thing, and I did tons of drawings for this. And so we gave it to the VFX supervisor. We were not invited to the meeting at the time. We were like not there yet. So we gave the whole thing. They printed everything. Guillermo took it with him. Eventually went to Double Negative to continue the design research and everything. But somehow a lot of my sketches ended up in the art book from the film. So it's nice, and it connects also to Lana, another director who cares about the craft. And I was listening yesterday to Dermot Powers' talk. I don't know if you're familiar with Dermot Powers' work, incredible artist. And he was talking about his journey with Tim Burton, and the fact that Tim really like values him as an artist, and he doesn't really he loves him for what he does, and he really respects the craft because he himself is a craftsman. Tim Burton used to work at Disney, and he was an artist as well. So yeah, so occasionally you have these sort of experiences, and New Mutants, Slumberland that came out like recently on Netflix. This happened to be actually a shot of the film. Slumberland again. So lots of fun visuals. Hunger Games. It was like Avengers, Age of Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I believe. No, 2. Yeah, 2. Yeah, 2. There's been a few of them. And then so Matrix and then Jupiter Ascending. I'll show you just a few visuals of let me check out the time. Yeah, okay. I'm going to fast forward a bit. So Jupiter Ascending. So just to give you an idea of like the first project I've done with the Wachowskis. So this one was the first one I did when I got on set, because we had been working for a few months on the project with my friend Olivier and a few other people, but remotely. We met the Wachowskis by then, but we were working mostly remotely from Method Studios. And this was the first one that I did on set. And I didn't have like an extensive experience to work on set at the time. I was working mostly for VFX facilities in-house art departments. And I remember the first day I got there, Hugh Bateup, who's the production designer, who was also the production designer on Matrix, on the latest Matrix. He gave me like a piece of script, like a line, as it happens sometimes. You don't necessarily get to read the script from the start. Sometimes you get just some little bits. Like a line, 2 lines, a little paragraph, and this is what it was like. It was like a space port in space, like and that's it really. So I went to see him. I said, yeah. So what? And I was aware of the aesthetic and everything by that point. But I said, what is it, Hugh? And he said, I don't know what that means. He has an Aussie accent. It's a bit like that, but better. So I don't know what that means. And then I gave it a try, and I came up with this and he was happy. Lana and Lily were happy, so that's it. So the project went smoothly after that. And so I designed like a lot of other things, like all these massive environments, all this stuff. And again, like super cool team, very, very fun team of creative people. This one went through a few stages because at the beginning it looked a bit more like an anatomical part of the human body. And so obviously people mentioned it, so I had to modify the design slightly because it was a bit too obvious. But so I had to make it look a bit less obvious. There were some structures here at the bottom that I got rid of. Anyway, you know what I mean. But it was a fun piece to work on, and this was part of all the work we did with Olivier and the team back at Mascot Studios before joining the pre-production. This massive, it was on this journey that was supposed to start from outer space and to go from basically a massive scale to a smaller scale, which we were supposed to end on Horus, the planet, which is there in one of the streets of Horus. So we started from far away, and you travel and eventually the scene got simplified and cut off, and it wasn't in the film, but it was still fun, and more like visuals for that film. Another one. So scale and detail was really something that we had to play with a lot. And then Matrix Resurrections. So I was at Method at that point, and at Framestore. So I had joined Framestore by that point, and I was trying to build the art department over there. And I got a call from Hugh, Hugh Bateup, the production designer, to join the project. He wouldn't tell me what it was, but I knew because you know about things about what's going on, when you work in this business. And so he said, "Are you in?" I said, "Yeah, of course I'm in." And so I asked Framestore, "Can I just disappear for 6 months and work and go to San Francisco with the family and work on the project?" And they said, "Yes, just go," because I didn't have a space for the art department at that point. So they said, "Yeah, by all means go. The timing is perfect." And there I go. So trip to San Francisco, we were supposed to leave at 9 a.m. in the morning. We left at 6 p.m., got there at 5 o'clock in the morning, got to bed at 5:30, 6 o'clock. First day I was starting at 8 a.m. So this is how the whole adventure started. I was knackered and everything, but happy. Got to the office. We were literally in the Embarcado, for those who know San Francisco. Embarcado building, really nice area, in the center, super high up on a building, 25th floor or something. And we had a beautiful view from up there. We could see the whole city. And the reason for that, it's not because Lana wanted to show off or spend the money or anything widely. It's because she wanted, and this is why this experience was great. She really tried to nurture us from the start, to feed us with the film and all her inspirations. And it happens that a lot of sequences in the film were shot in San Francisco. She even managed to get helicopters flying around, which is quite a feat, because it's pretty complicated to get authorizations for that. So, and a lot of the scenes were shot actually around the corner where the art department was. And so from our offices, we're sitting on our desk. We'd look at the window, and we would see all these buildings and these beautiful perspectives, and it was from the start. It was very inspiring, and also to describe the art department a little bit. You had this sort of glass windows all around, and in the middle you had some rugs on the floor. So it was some sort of there was a central area and all the offices around it. Not very big because it was only a handful of people at that point in the production. And in the middle you had some rugs, a lamp on the floor, a really nice lamp, some pictures on the walls, some leather armchairs, a couch, a big wooden table where we would eat every Friday or every 2 weeks, all together with Lana, telling stories, having fun, chatting, and so it was very convivial, very and I tend to be a bit cynical sometimes coming from Europe, so sometimes it was a bit of a shock coming here because people are way more positive and enthusiastic and say, yeah, you can do it if you believe in it, if you believe it with all your heart, you can achieve anything. And I came here, I was like, yeah, yes and no, but I got to embrace that because it's actually, there's a lot of positive side to it, and I kind of enjoy the idea right now. It took me a while to embrace it, But I have to say that on this project, it's exactly this idea. You know, this we talk sometimes about joining a family when you join a company or something, and we all know that it's not really a reflection of the truth. You know, like when you join a company, you know that you're expendable. This is the hard reality of it. You know, I mean, COVID was a proof of it. The recent strike was a proof of it as well. A lot of people got laid off, and see what happens. But because it's the nature of the industry. But on this project, I have to say that it's probably the closest thing I found, like apart from maybe a couple of other examples throughout my career, where we managed to build like a family, almost like this sort of very close, knit group of people working towards the same goal, trying to create like the best possible visual we could, and to really embrace it, to embrace the journey altogether. And I have to say that Framestore that I'm working with at the moment has got the same sort of vibe about it. I mean, it's I'm not going to get into detail, but a little while ago with the family we had we went through some hard times, and Framestore was there. You know, Framestore was there to support us and stuff, which is not something you'll find in most companies, really. So it's something you should, if you happen to find like a project or a group of people or a company that's like that, just embrace it and don't let go. Stay there for a while, because it's not the norm. So now I'd like to show you a few visuals that I've done over there to tell you about the process a little bit. I'm not going to get into technical details because it's not the point of this talk here. But here it was for the rescue of Trinity. And for this, we would talk with Lana. Would be with us every day. She would she would be heavily involved in the visual research, in the whole process, in the idea, the references, and not every director is not every. It's not necessarily. Sometimes you don't even meet the director. Sometimes you deal with a production designer only. But she was there every day, talking, chatting, showing us references, exchanging ideas with us. At the end, it's a film, so it was a decision at the end because it's her baby. You know, she's been nurturing that baby for many years, since 1999, as we said, before that when she was in production for it. But she was still open to ideas and to discussions, which is great. You didn't feel like a cog in the machine, in that sense. You felt that as an artist, you were, because I don't know if everyone here is working in the industry. You know that, you know, sometimes you feel like a cog. We're commercial artists, so it is what it is. But it feels very nice sometimes when you work with a director who really understands the craft and who happens to be knowledgeable about it. Lana loves animation. She loves comic books. She's worked on a few comic books, like writing stories for them. She did the animatrix, as you know, so she knows about all that. Her and her sister did the animatrix. So they all she loves architecture, she loves literature. She's very an all around like a very cultured person, very interesting to talk to. Occasionally in the morning we would chat, we had a little kitchen on the floor. We'd go there and then we'd talk about and she happens to love French literature and French culture. So we'd talk about the French Revolution. We'd talk about French authors and other things as well. And she was pretty open-minded about all things. This was same as another picture for Trinity's rescue with Kujaku, this sort of creature hovering above her. And for this, it's another example of her attention to detail. When I did this, and because I hadn't read the script by then, it's only a bit later that we got access to it. She told me, Trinity, you have to shave her head. I said, okay, fair enough. And I wanted to feel more like a little baby that's being rescued. So I want to create some sort of intimacy between her and this big creature, who's going to embrace her and carry her like a baby, something a bit more gentle. And this is where I came up with this one. So and it was this sort of discussion that we would have on a regular basis. Sometimes she would just completely trust us, do your thing, and it would get validated pretty quickly. And it ended up really a lot of the pictures that we did, all of us ended up in the film. When you walked around the art department, you could see pictures on the walls everywhere, and you could see, and now in retrospect, you can, oh yes, so this is in the film. This is in the film as well. She's a sort of director as well who's she has a vision, she has an idea about what she wants, and she's not gonna try 100 different ideas and try and choose the one. She knows pretty quickly what she wants, which is And another reason why it made this whole experience very enjoyable as well. You know that she's going in a certain direction. As long as you understand each other, you understand the mythology of the film and all that. You know that you're not doing it for nothing. You know that it's not going to be thrown away and redone in post-production. You know, for instance. Yeah. So it's gratifying. It's rewarding. Another one as well that I did like towards the end. I was originally only supposed to design this thing here, but because I do props occasionally and everything, but I thought for me every visual is an opportunity to create an image. Even though I was meant to do like for this one just this element, I decided to let me check the time quickly. Yeah, we're still good. Even though it was just that, I decided, oh, you know what, I'm gonna extend the frame. I'm gonna extend it because it's gonna be way better, more exciting to do for me. And as long as I answer the brief anyway, as long as this bit is in the picture, I can add all the rest as well, as long as it's relevant for the film. And I just want to note as well that it was a very collaborative work. And I'll tell you actually about the people who were on the film. There's some names that you might recognize. Of course, Lana Wachowski was a director. Hugh, Bateup, and Peter Walpole were the production designers. And Trish Foreman, the supervising art coordinator. They're a couple. You know, Hugh Bateup and Trish are together. And so to us, it was having like almost like your uncle and your auntie and uncle like on set. They're like very warm people and incredible people to work with. And there was like Jeff Darrow. I don't know if you're probably familiar with Jeff Darrow. Incredible, like iconic comic book artist. You know, like who was same generation as like probably a tiny bit younger than Moebius and all these people. You know, like we spoke like actually quite often with Jeff, and he had in his office. He was the only one who was still working traditionally, completely traditionally. He wasn't working digitally in the art department. All of us were. George was still drawing a little bit, and Benny he would switch really quickly to 3D and 2D and on computer, digital. And personally, I've worked like mostly digitally on this. I mean, only digitally. I didn't sketch too much on that because I knew quite quickly what she wanted, so I jumped into the final images like every time. But Jeff was working traditionally, so he had this massive like drawing table, like pretty much this size, you know. In his office, and he wouldn't let anyone. He was sitting in the corner of his office, facing the door. So when he would come in, you would only see the back of his drawing board, and he wouldn't let anyone walk behind the drawing board, apart from Lana and maybe a select few like from the production team. So it was his secret garden, you know, like he's a bit guarded about what he does, despite the fact that he's incredibly talented, and it was a blast to see like these massive sketches like on the walls, like on a regular basis. He would come up with all these details, and because he's as you know, if you know about his work, he's all about detail and design and intricacy, and so there was Jeff Darrow in there, Warren Flanagan. Warren Flanagan is an Irish lad who happens to live in Vancouver. So he joined us as well. Very talented concept artist. Who's worked on many things. He worked on The Last of Us recently, and he had a great sense of composition, dynamism, and a lovely guy to work with. Kimberly Pope, a British artist who does lots of character design as well. She happens to do lots of traditional painting as well, and she was absolutely lovely to work with, super talented. Steve Scross, for those who are familiar with comic books, again, really talented comic book artist who's worked with big names in the comic book world. He's done lots of Wolverine and stuff like that. He's worked on some big franchise over there, and he also happens to be a storyboard artist. So he's worked with the Wachowskis for as long as they've been working, because he's known them since they were like teenagers, like since they were like 17 or something. I don't know exactly, but from for a very long time ago. And we also had Emmanuel Hugh. I don't know if you're familiar with Emmanuel Hugh, another super talented guy, lovely, always willing to share, doesn't mean anything, to share like his knowledge. I remember that one time when I was working on one of the concepts, and I was supposed to change like the Morpheus kind of interpretation in the film into this creature made of little bubbles, you know, like little beads. and I was like, oh shit. So it's I'm gonna have to draw it, and it takes and if you got to do it, you got to paint it. It takes a bit. It's substantially longer, and especially if you have to show different angles, suddenly it becomes a bit of a chore. But it is what it is. But then I saw one of his concepts because he was working on he was developing this world with George at the same time. They started before me, and George had been working on the other Matrix movies, so he was perfectly familiar with the Matrix lore, the Matrix aesthetic, and so they were both working on this, and Emmanuel did like an interpretation of what I was going to do, and he used something in Maya because he's a Maya wizard. And I saw that with lots of little beads and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, how the hell did you do that?" And he said, "Oh, I can show you," and then that's it. It was a spirit, like everyone would share their knowledge, like without any hesitation, help out each other and everything. And it's what you would expect from an art department and from a team, because I know that I'm not going to name companies, but there are companies out there where it's a backstabbing, like it's like being in an alleyway and getting shit. I thought you were my friend. Why? That's some bad places to work at. Usually. You hear about it. So it's nice when it's like this. It doesn't have to be bad. It's we're working in the entertainment industry after all, right? This one I'm showing you a bit of a before after. So this was when Kujaku was going to emerge from the arrow there. He's escaping after releasing after the escape with Trinity, and the way she described it, she showed me a few pictures on Pinterest. She had a Pinterest account with all the references, and we could all access it. And then she literally gave me free reign for that. So it was done pretty much in a day. I'll show you the final one. So it's pretty much where all the goo that's made out of human bodies. It's like the waste of all the people connected to the Matrix. So it must be a very smelly place, quite horrible, and so this is what it was, yeah. And you see Kujaku over there escaping through this sort of like sewer. And this is this you see this thing over there. It's the production designer Hugh kept this from the first Matrix. And it's a piece of movie memorabilia. When he gave it to me, it's like, yeah, this was from the first Matrix. It's one of the props that they used for the scene where Neo is taking it out of his neck, at the very beginning of the film, when he suddenly realizes that he's not actually on Earth, and he looks around him and he sees all the pods, like going into infinity. And he gave me this, and I was like, wow, can I keep it? Said, no, okay, right. Okay, but can I keep it at least for a day to just because I actually modeled it in order to incorporate it in the next image that I'm going to show you. But it was amazing to have this. You can see it over there, this little piece over there. So anyway, it was the only little piece of prop that was going around, but it was fun to be able to hold it. So this is a bit that you see at the bottom, and this is a raw render, just to show you also a before after. So this is just my render out of. Not going to go into super technical details, but just tell you about the process. I love to work like in 2D, as you've noticed in what I've showed you at the beginning. But when it comes to 3D, I tend to do things in Blender. I used to use Maya, but I switched to Blender now, and I render usually in Keyshot because I'm still learning how to do it in Blender, and I'm going to jump into Unreal at some point. But this, for instance, was rendered in Keyshot, and because just for the little anecdote, before joining this project, I was using Vue 3D, which is great software, but it's very time consuming, it's very complex and everything, and it was a bit complicated to take it with me to San Francisco because of the license and all that. So a friend of mine, like literally a week before I left Framestore to go there, told me, yeah, there's Keyshot. Have you ever tried Keyshot? No. And so literally you open it, you grab like a PBR material, you drop it on your 3D model, and then magically it becomes metal and wood and everything and plastic, and say, wow, that's great. And so I kind of like adopted it, and this is what it is. It doesn't look fancy at all. It looks pretty rubbish actually, but the groundwork is here, and then I would make it into that. So I still love to finish things in Photoshop because I love to break the 3D. I don't want things to look too 3D. But it's my take on it. I rarely, also because I'm not as good in 3D as other people. You got some wizards out there. I'm not one of them. I use 3D in a practical way for what I need. but I'm not the best at 3D, far from that. But also I enjoy always going to Photoshop and infusing a little bit of randomness which is harder to achieve when you do only 3D. And so this one is the one I was telling you about with Emmanuel, who gave me like a little tip for the little bubbles thingies, the little beads. And for this, to give you an idea about the process, I got given only like a little stick man. It was a little sketch, a stick man. Like, yeah, so it has to be this scene where it's going to transform. It has to be like a shower type thing. You know, it has to come from above and maybe some structures at the bottom, but it was kind of like a triangular kind of thing. And it's pretty much the only information I had. And I came up with this one, and Lana was very happy about it. So it's another example of this effortless journey. You know, when you do something, and I'm going to check the time. We're good. And it goes smoothly. You know, so it's very rewarding as well. You know, you don't have to come up with like a version after version after version after version, and then after 2 months, we need to revisit this design again. Or sometimes they're going to give this design to, which happens sometimes. You know, you got 3 or 4 people working on the same design to optimize basically the artistic outcome, to make sure that we get the best possible image. It's not that we compete against each other; we work together. But still, you know, it's like there's 4 people working on something, and let the best man win. You know, it's a bit like that, which is or the best lady win. It's a bit, yeah. So it's nice, you know. Occasionally when it's like this, it's your stuff, you're doing your thing, and yeah. It's maybe it's just an ego trip, I don't know, but it's nice. It feels nice. Another one as well, like for the same design. Some of the and I'll tell you about the rest of the team, by the way. Sorry, I stopped halfway through. My mind sometimes wanders like this, and goes like in weird places. So we stopped at Emmanuel Hugh. We had also Tani Kunitake. Tani Kunitake is a great friend of mine. And he happens to be a super talented artist. He's a storyboard artist and a concept artist. And he's worked on the first Matrix, among other things. He designed, if I'm not mistaken, the Nabucodonosor, you know, the spaceship the ship. It's not spaceship, the ship in the first Matrix. He also did the storyboard for the scene that we were talking about, where when Neo wakes up, takes the thing up and looks down, and you see this incredible perspective of all the pods, you know, with all these massive cylinders and everything. He storyboarded that. And also we had Milena Zdravkovic, great artist again, who was trained as an architect, and so she had this really good understanding of you know, when you do set design and everything, you have depending where you do it, sort of architecture that you do. For instance, doors here in the US don't have the same proportions as doors in Europe, and you have all sorts of rules that you have to know. And she was the person to go to, and every time there was a set that was very, very specific, or very like a bit more real, or even though she did like lots of the Matrix stuff as well, the more crazy, she would be the person to ask. I mean, she was very knowledgeable about all that, and a great person to work with. Another one of these, this one as well with bugs jumping above the car. For this, we talked with Lana about the best possible angle for this, and this is what I came up with. The oboe, so this one is something that you barely see in the film. So I've got like 3 versions of it. This one here, it's this sort of instrument that's being played by I forgot the name of the character in this scene where they're doing the hijacking to save Trinity, and you have this Indian lady playing this instrument and controlling the device, the hacking device from, and you got like three scenes, three different like things happening at the same time, and she plays this instrument. And this one it's a fun one to do, but it's based on an oboe, you know, the instrument. But it also happens to be a design for which my fellow concept artists were heavily taking the piss out of me, because it was like because it's an oboe, you know, it's a glorified oboe. And the reason being that at that point they didn't have a lot of time to design it, so it was more like adding something, or adding stuff on top of something that already existed. So because it wasn't going to be seen like heavily in the film anyway, so it was like, yeah, take a oboe and make it better. And of course, I heard about that for a very long time. Yeah, the oboe master, the best design you've ever done, and everything. I don't think it's that bad. I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, there you go. So another scene that was this one was taken away from the film. It was originally, it was like for the intro, like one of the sequences at the beginning, but it didn't happen in the film. This was when Neo arrives in Zion, And no, it's not Diane. Is it called Diane in this one? Maybe you might know. Yeah. Sorry. Ayo, thank you. Yeah, you know the names better than I do. I should have done a little recap I should have watched the film again before coming here. And again, yes, this is when he's in jail at first. There's a bit of a friction at the beginning, so it was like some quick, like a little interior design, and him again looking on his balcony, from his jail cell. And this is like just to show you again another before after. So sometimes I do things from scratch. There's nothing at all. Sometimes you get given a set image, and this happens to be in Babelsberg in Germany. And it's a studio where the Wachowskis have been many times. I think they shot some sequences for the original Matrix over there, probably some Cloud Atlas stuff, I believe. And they really moved from San Francisco, Berlin. They don't like LA that much. And this is in Berlin. So from this, I made it into this. So you got the before. So I had to keep some of the buildings to respect the structure of the place, the architecture of the place, the layout. And I made it into that. So it was when for the opening sequence, with the big chase with the SWAT team and a big chase on the roofs and everything. And this is when towards the end, this big battle where mayhem happens. People start jumping from the windows and killing themselves and using themselves and their bodies as a weapon. And that's it. And I wanted to show you it was after the film was finished, because none of us took any pictures actually inside the art department, because obviously you don't take pictures of the artwork before it's released, and also because it feels that when you really enjoy something, or when you're really in the moment, you don't feel the need to see it through the lens of a camera, and it's pretty much something that was the case with all of us. None of us took many pictures, funnily enough. I mean, we went through all that, we all had fun, we all enjoyed it, but we hardly took any pictures. We were really enjoying the moment, enjoying the ride. And it's a picture I took at the end because I wanted to have it looks a bit gloomy on there, but it was nice, when the sun would come in. And this one here, it's a view I had from my desk. And here is the team with Lana and everyone. We put a white sheet on the floor in order for the light to bounce a little bit. I'm being told that I've got 5 minutes left. Yeah, I'm nearly done. I'm nearly done getting to the end. We're gonna finish just on time. And here we are. So this is the whole team having fun and enjoying the ride. And we actually got invited. We did the kickoff party at Lana's house. We went there with our kid. Our kid was about 5 months old at the time. So he was sleeping upstairs in a room with a giant Totoro, a PlayStation, and some game. It was like the game room. And we could hear from the room upstairs, I think on the second floor or something, you could hear the music dancing. And he was sleeping like an angel. We would go and check on him on a regular basis, obviously, and we all danced away over there. And she even invited us for Thanksgiving at her house. So this is the sort of vibe that I'm talking about here. This sort of we all in the same boat. We all we're all working towards the same goal. We're all enjoying the ride together, and everyone is having fun. And it's and you feel respected and valued in what you do. You're not just as I said before, not just a cog in a machine. You're really an active participant in the making of the film, which was fantastic. And there you go. So I hope you'll experience projects like this, or maybe you have. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad that the spark hasn't died, and that I keep having these projects coming up, and I keep genuinely welcoming them, and I'm not jaded yet. So there you go. Thank you for listening.